Hey guys, you ever talk to patients and you're wondering, I don't know what they want. And man, do they have a lot of perio and I don't even know where to start with them. Well, if you've ever had that thought in your head, I have the greatest treat for you today. We have Dr. Sam Lau, who's going to be talking about that very thing. What are the 5 things that patients really want? And how can we help them make better decisions for themselves in the Best Practices Show? Stick around. You're going to love this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show. My name is Kirk Behrendt, and I am so excited you're here because I have a huge treat for you. One of my favorite educators that I learned early in my journey at the Pankey Institute, and he is an absolute treat, and you will love this. So stick around for a second while we examine these big things that patients want. Now, a couple things. If you're finding yourself here for the first time, and I know a lot of you have through the COVID conference, which actually is the 1-year anniversary today, I want to welcome you and do a couple of things. If you're a young dentist and you're showing up to this podcast for the first time, I just want to encourage you to hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening to podcasts, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, doesn't matter. Go down there and hit the subscribe button because I want you to keep showing up every single week, because every single week I'm going to bring you a brand new expert in dentistry and examine some of the biggest challenges you guys have in your practice. Also, if you haven't joined our Facebook group yet, I want you to go over there and check that out. We started that during the COVID conference, and it's been so great to watch great people just help other great people. And you can find that at the Best Practices powered by ACT Dental. And then lastly, if you're looking for good resources in your practice, we've got so many great things lined up. Actually, Dr. Darren Becker, Sam, you'll enjoy this, is going to be teaching tomorrow at ACT Dental U. So you can check that out at actdental.com and join us over there. Now, I want to introduce my guest today. Sam, I have known you for a very long time. You have been an incredible just resource for us, an incredible educator for me. And today we're going to be talking about the 5 things that patients really want. But if people don't know you or haven't met you, they've probably been sleeping under a rock. Who is Dr. Sam Lau? What do you do? Where are you headed? Like, where are you today? I want people to know who you are. Can you give them a little background?
Sure. Right now I'm in Jacksonville Sky Club. I know everything on the menu of every Sky Club, at least in North America. I am coming to you from there. I didn't plan it, but then the weather is always dictates everything that we do. But I'm a periodontist. Was at the University of Florida. I left there in 2012. I'm still Professor Emeritus there. Left there as Associate Dean, and so I do consulting, and I still practice. Yesterday, I did 9 periodontal surgeries, all with water lace, BioLace laser, and a full day, and pretty tired by the end. But that's what I do, and I love what I do with this, and always appreciate being able to talk with you, Kirk.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like, there's so many things. The first time I met you at the Pankey Institute, first of all, you shook my mind. And then, like, you've always given me great tools, great frameworks. I mean, fence posts in the dirt. I still use that today. You taught me that 20 years ago. I'm like, it's so great. And then you were one of the pioneers of that. You don't treat periodontal disease, you manage it. And so we're going to get into some of this today. And I shared with you before we went live, I'm like, I coach so many practices. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Sam, help me from how do we get patients from the whole, pro feed to SRP, perio conversation, and then water lace. We're going to talk about that. And really, it comes down to a simple framework you've been teaching for a long time, and it's the 5 things that patients want. Can you give us a little origin on this story and why it's still so important today as we look at this framework?
Sure. The most important thing that I love about dentistry is patients. I mean, I love them. I love new patients. I enjoy talking with them. I love looking at their nonverbal cues. We'll probably talk about that a little bit. It's the educator in me. I taught high school biology before I went to dental school, and my plan was never to be an educator after that. It was to make money in Houston. However, it's just in my blood. My dad was a coach, my mom was an English teacher. I love changing folks for the right reasons. When I listen to patients, and I'm still listening to patients, like I listened to 10 patients yesterday. When I listen to patients, I realize that what you mentioned, Dr. Pankey always talked about when a patient comes in, don't expect them to want everything. I mean, their knowledge base is based on what? Some blogs, USA Today, Reader's Digest. So why should they know anything? Your job is to get them from below the line to above the line. When I begin to talk with them, I realize, what do they really want? Now, I know this is going to sound a little crass, but this is basically what they want. First of all, they don't want to hurt. And if you hurt them, I promise you, they're going to get on Yelp and they're going to kill you. You can't hurt them. That's why I love teaching local anesthesia to dental hygienists. Number two, they want to look good. I don't care if they have no money. They expect to look good. They expect to look fantastic. We're selfish. That's what we want. Number three, sorry, they don't want to pay. They are so ingrained with medical insurance where they pop a card down. They think that they're, well, you keep talking about oral systemic link. Well, they say, well, great then. If I'm
Yeah.
a Medicare patient, how come I can't get any dentistry done? Next, they want everything done now. This milling game? Sure, I love the technology. But Kirk, you and I both know what really pushed the milling game was patients want it now. They don't want to wait 30 minutes, or, 30 days. They want 30 minutes. The last one has to do with me as a specialist. To you out there listening, patients want everything done with you. It's convenience. Doc, are you sure you can't take the impacted wisdom teeth out on my daughter? You did such a great job with these ceramics. And that affects also us as specialists, as a periodontist, because patients want it done with you. So if I look at all those five things, what there really is sort of it's the me generation. So why would it not, Kirk, translate to dentistry?
Right. Now, I'm listening to you. Like, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to be a dentist and go, Sam, you're right. Like, they don't want to pay. They want to look good. They don't want it to hurt. They want it right now. And they want it from me. I can't do that. Like, she's got perio. It's going to take a while. I mean, I got to send her over to the oral surgeon. I don't straighten teeth here. I'm a restorative dentist. So how do I manage myself against the framework you just gave me? Because I don't think you're saying, oh, give it all to them right away, all this stuff. You've got a standard of excellence as a professional, as a specialist, right? So how do I manage myself?
You pick the things you want to do or that you are anticipating doing, and you go get some really good quality education. You want to place implants? Don't go to some, don't go to Tijuana to learn over a weekend. Take a 6 to 12 month course. However, even if you have it, sometimes we acquire things and we basically don't even tell our staff that we have learned this.
Right.
But I think the most important, you could read all the self-help books you want. You could have all the dental coaching you want. But if you create trust and communication with a patient and with your team, you're going to find that skid is going to be greased.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You got to look at them. I've been in with dentists where they can't look somebody in the eye. Got to tell you, it ain't going to happen here. Before, Kirk, 40 years ago, a dentist was the only game in town. There weren't a lot of other dentists around.
Right.
You do know we got 65 dental schools. You've got to create a niche. Because if you don't create that niche with your nonverbal cues, do you know what's going to happen? They're going to go to somebody down the street because you can. So I know it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to talk to people, then you need to take your iPhone or whatever you got, and or have your spouse do it, or have your dental assistant do it, and have them videotape you the next time you do a new patient exam.
Yeah.
So what you're going to find is there are nuances that bring them in, there are nuances that bring them out. I get hundreds of how to get new patient stuff. But you know what the primary one is?
What?
Find the patients that you want, keep them.
Yeah.
Because the number one way, unless you're, as we saw you're at McDonald's wanting a Big Mac, the number one way to build a practice is relationships. And I'll say just one other thing. I keep hearing this about new patient, new patient, new patient, new patient. Do you know what my game plan is? Keep the ones you have. Dr. Pankey always says, like, likes, like.
Yeah. So our good friend Nagy, who watches, and I love your comments, he said this, they don't want to take responsibility for their bad teeth. And then also shared, our job is to make sure they take responsibility and educate them. And we do our magic. Now, I love that question. And let me tee this up. Sam, we coach a lot of practices. I coach a lot of young dentists who are really doing great things. They
Mm-hmm.
struggle with these 5 things and say, how do we take our perio percentage, which is 1% in our practice? Because there's a lot more perio back there. How do we start having conversations so that we can help people start moving in that direction? You're the master at this. Like, give me some ideas on that.
Find something in their medical history or their dental history you can hook into. That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
Find something that you can parlay into the conversation.
So give me an example.
Uh, I'll give you a perfect example. Again, I'm in Florida. You are very aware that there's a significant number of people that have diabetes and have heart disease. There are people that have been with this COVID thing. There is a direct correlation between COVID-19 and gum disease now. It just happened in the last 3 weeks in a study in the journal Clinical Periodontology. There is an absolute link between heart disease and periodontal disease. We're finding these bugs in the vessels. We're finding these bugs in the heart. We're finding these bugs in the lungs. We're finding these bugs actually in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. You've got to listen to them, get something from them, create the motivational interviewing. As an example, they put down on their thing that somebody in their family had gum disease. Bingo, you've read it. You say, I noticed that you've had a little bit of a history of gum disease. You know, your father lost his teeth to gum disease, and then what does that move you into? That moves you into the genetics. So really, the bottom line here is, Kirk, isn't it an elevator speech? I mean, isn't it an elevator speech? You've got to say a few words and hit it right because you've just got a limited amount of time on that elevator going from the 11th floor to the first floor. So there's two possibilities here. One, quit talking about bleeding and pus and swollen gums. Hit them right in the jugular. You know what the number one phrase that sells more perio from prophy to SLPRI than any other phrase? Today,
What?
Jane, we see the irreversible loss of your jawbone. Notice, we see today the irreversible, it ain't coming back, loss of your jawbone. Did we say we're losing teeth? No, we said your jawbone. That is the number one elevator pitch for you. And the second is there is absolutely a mouth body connection. And if you don't do what we're talking about by, as you mentioned before, I ain't going to treat you, I'm going to manage you. If you don't, I'm okay with that. But I'm here for you to have a very healthy, long life with the least amount notice. Remember, got to do it as fast as we can. See, what I'm doing is I'm bringing all those things in because I already know how they're thinking.
Right.
So I already know they want something right now because here's what they're going to say if you do it right. Well, get me in. I need that. I need that deep cleaning right now. Can you get me in? And you say, if it took you a long time to get it, it takes us just a little bit of some time to actually manage it. You're listening. You've got to be listening this whole time.
Yeah. Now go back to something you said, and you've been a great teacher of this for a long time, called motivational interviewing. And explain, because you're doing a little bit of it, but there are some young dentists on here that are watching, like, what is motivational interviewing and why is it so important to connect with a patient
Well,
when you speak like that?
well, the beauty of where we are now is you can Google motivational interviewing and you'll find one or two little 30-minute things on how you can do it. Motivational interviewing, especially with dental hygienists, motivational interviewing is when you're asking the question, you already sort of know the answer, but by you asking the question, they're already thinking, why are you asking that? And it also brings them into the conversation. Everything. You should not be telling them what they need. You should be telling them what you think they want. Then you can come in and tell them what they need. But they're walking in there. Periodontal disease. You know what the symptoms are of periodontal disease? Zippo. I look at the 7 warning signs of gum disease and that I see in Cosmopolitan, Vogue, professional journals, like Reader's Digest. And they always talk about bleeding. My gums don't bleed. I mean, you probably know, I call something respiratory periodontitis. That's when they breathe, the teeth move back and forth. Are your teeth loose? No, are they? You have to educate. You know, if I was going to be reincarnated as a dentist, Kirk, I'd come back as a endodontist on
Why?
Friday afternoon.
Okay. Why?
Do you ever
So,
see a patient? Do you ever see a patient say, "Well, I'm talking with my husband over the weekend. See if I really want to have that root canal." They've been up 3 nights in a row. They're ready to shoot themselves. Perio's not like that. You've got to educate perio. When they've got a hole in the back of their tooth, and every time they eat something cold, it shocks them, that's an easy sell.
right.
Perio is not like that. You got to educate. But once you educate them, they're yours for life. And if you look at overheads, because I'm very aware of overheads, I'm very aware of return on investment. Your number one procedure in your practice, as far as frequency goes, is prophylaxis and periodontal maintenance. That's your residual. I hope most of you on this call know what we mean by residual.
Right.
New patients, new patients don't, yeah, you need them coming in, but how many do you need? You need like 10 or 15 a month.
Right.
Where you get the money is off the residual. So you do know, Kirk, I always have 3 mission statements. 1, provide the highest quality of care. Number 2, you be happy doing it, ergonomically, mentally. And 3, you got to make money. Got to make money.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I love, there's so many things. You and I have had conversations over years. Now, the great Bob Barkley died, I think it was 1979. I don't have any research to be able to prove this, but one of the things that he would say, and this is way before my time, is that the more perio you did with any patient, most dentists would find that there's a link to how much restorative they do later on. Do you find that to be true also in your observation?
Absolutely. I could build a practice sitting in the back of a dental hygiene operatory and never have another new patient for the rest of my life. Then let me just throw out something for our dentists. Please don't think a hygiene check is purgatory.
Right.
It's dentistry. No, I don't like to call it dentistry. You know me. I like to call it oral health care. Don't sit. I'm very quickly. I was talking with a young practitioner, and she was struggling with a new practice. And I suggested to her, I said, "Now, are you going in and checking the hygiene patients?" And she says, "Well, I don't have time to check it." I said, "But you just told me you're struggling with your gross income." I said, "You know what you're doing? I mean, the tail's wagging the dog." I said, "Here's what I want you to do." And I want you to do that because, Kirk, you and I always like action items when we finish. So here's
Right.
what I want you to do. Next week, I want you to go in and check no, not check, confer with a hygienist on every single patient. And I want you to write it down on how much dentistry you found. And I want you to write it down, and I want you and I to have this conversation a week later. 3 days later, she calls me. She says, I think I see it now. I didn't realize these patients had that much dentistry because I was relying on the dental hygienist. And I said, well, now as you move towards the future, you need to educate that dental hygienist how to find this stuff, how to talk about it. Because really the conduit, I was talking to a dentist the other day and I said, well, first of all, can you tell me what ultrasonic devices you have in the hygiene laboratory? He didn't know. I said, have you been in there lately? He says, yeah, I go in real quick to check them, make sure everything's okay, and I leave. What I'm building is a team for managing oral health care. I promise you, your gross at the end of the month will go through the roof. This thing you just mentioned, Kirk, about this 1% perio, yes. The perio-prophy ratio, you know what it should be? It should be at least 35, 40%. You know what it is in the United States?
What is it?
Good at 15%. And I know why. I know why it is.
Why?
It is not because hygienists are doing prophies on perio patients. They're doing perio on perio patients. But you know what's occurring? And you know this, Kirk, because you do a significant amount of coaching. What's happening is in the culture of the practice, they're charging prophy fees. And you know why they are? Because
Why?
they're afraid that the patient will leave. And you know why the patient may leave? Because you didn't educate the patient at the very beginning, at the new patient exam, on perio. And if you need the scripting, for those of you, I will send you the scripting. But the bottom line is that new patient exam. I talked to a practice a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Now, who sees the patient on a new patient exam?" And you know what they said to me? Well, it depends on how busy we are. No, I said, wait a minute. What is your protocol for a new patient? Well, if the doctor's not busy, he sees them. But if he's busy and she's busy, then the hygienist sees them. I said, well, do you know that Toyota building a Camry would be bankrupt in a month if someone says, well, if I'm not busy, I put the windshield wipers on. But if he's busy, they get to put the steering wheel on. Are you kidding me? Again, I'm not talking down to any of your viewers, but I have found that being more like Larry David, I get more across by being, and so do you, Kirk.
Mhm.
You got to tell it like it is
Yeah.
to where we can make this thing happen between A and B in the shortest time.
Yeah. Well, and your filter, I'm 50 now, so you find that your filter goes away and you just don't want to waste anybody's time. And you're also an entertaining educator. I think some of the times, that I've seen you speak or been in courses with you, you're going to take something that's often a little dry, make it a little fun and entertaining when you're talking to patients in that respect. Now, I know we only get you for so much time and I know you got to jump a flight in there, but I want you to talk about the future state of perio. It's anyone's guess. But what can we expect? If I'm a young dentist watching, how important is perio to my career and what can I expect in the future with the technology? You mentioned the laser aspect of things. Like what can we expect to see in the next year, 2 years on the perio side of things?
Well, the bottom line is it's not going away. CDC 10 years ago showed 47.2% of the entire population in the United States has bone loss. I didn't say gingivitis, I said bone loss. If you're a young practitioner out there, whether you're a centennial, millennial, Xer, or baby boomer, it is technology. We can do flap and osseous periodontal surgery for moderate to severe periodontitis with no sutures, no blades, and get the exact same result as what we did traditionally, now with such things as lasers, like an erbium chromium Y2G water lace, biolace laser. It doesn't have to be that one, but if you're looking to go to the next, because here's where you were. Some of you have finally got a good talk track from Prophy to SRP. You send patients to periodontists, 50% of them don't go. Then what do you do with them? Well, first of all, you're leaving money on the table. Two, you're really not taking care of them. So I'm encouraging you that don't think periodontal surgery is like you saw in dental school. The number one, there's two primary technologies that are occurring in perio right as well, actually three, but let's talk one. One is laser for you as a dentist, laser for your hygienist, for laser bacteria reduction and laser-assisted periodontal therapy, it is laser. And now there are great courses out there. The laser costs have come down. If you want to do perio, you've got to have a laser and a laser for your hygienist. Only 7 states in this country do not allow hygienists to use a laser. Secondly, I want to do a shout out for what's called glycine erythritol air medicinal delivery. It is not your mother's Proviject. This will change completely the way you debride teeth, the way you control biofilm, and do it in a good 25 to 35% less time. And some studies show 3 times greater speed in a prophylaxis, periodontal maintenance, and one quick thing. You do know there's an epidemic of implant disease out there.
Yes.
We're now up to thinking that 1 out of 5 implants are lost. I don't want to see any more lost. You got to start using laser to stop this implant disease, and you've got to start using this medicinal erythritol. And again, if you want any more information, let me know. But this, I am not into cognitive dissonance. Kirk, you know, I really do my homework. These 2 things are going to change the way we do perio.
Yeah, I love hearing this stuff. You give us the insight on what's happening in the future. Any last thoughts, Sam? I know you got to run, catch a flight, but give us some last thoughts. If I'm a young dentist watching this, what patients
If you're
want.
a young dentist, first of all, let me tell you very quickly, our profession in oral health care is here. It's incredibly positive. I talk to young practitioners that do communicate, are creating technology, love patients, enjoy the relationships, building a hygiene team. So don't let anyone tell you that our profession, as you know, with Wall Street Journal, we're like number 1 or 2. But you've got to be happy doing it. And what I would suggest to you, I know this is going to sound a little, I don't know, canny. You start loving your patients, you, my friends, are going to be very, very successful. Every single patient. Love them like your family, and you are going to do exceptionally well.
I would second that. Very well said, my friend. Yeah, so awesome. I want to have you back and talk about the drop off in the referral process. Some insight in that. That's a big hole.
You bet.
Also the specific languaging around how do I talk to a patient? Do I use the word, deep cleaning, scaling, root planing? And I already know what you're going to say because I learned it all from you, is that's what somebody does in your office after you leave. So, but we're going to have you back again and again and again. Sam, I'm so grateful. Now, I know if somebody's watching this and they've never seen you, I'm going to tell you guys, take your team to see Sam speak anytime he's at a meeting. You will write so many notes. It's fantastic. But Sam, if I wanted to reach out to you, how do I find you? How do I find out more about what you do? Where can I reach you?
Yeah, I have absolutely no problem giving out my email. It's SLOW, you can remember as slow, at dental.ufl.edu. The other is if you put in Dr. Sam Lau on any Google, you'll get up my website. But the bottom line here is my mission is to help you be successful. I've always believed what Dr. Pankey said, right, Kirk? He said, do what you do best and the money will come. And I absolutely, the more people I help, the more successful I get. So
Yeah.
get on drsamlau.com and let me see what I can do to help you.
Oh, buddy, you're the best. You're helping people every day. And I use almost everything. Well, I'm not as smart as you, but all those things
You are.
I use them all the time. So Sam, thank you, buddy. Stick around while we say goodbye to everybody else watching. So thank you guys for watching the Best Practices Show or listening to the Best Practices Show. If you enjoyed today, just do us a favor, share with your friends, keep sending us suggestions for things that you guys want to see. And until we see you next time, keep watching the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.